Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall. Welcome back, Adam Martin, for another episode of the Franchise Tag Talk Show. We are in week 4. Now, week 4 is where I think we start to see the week from the chaff. You know, we start to see the real ballers, the real big game players now. We're seeing teams that are here to stay, maybe, and ones that we definitely know aren't very good.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
I think week 4 is where I think week 4 is where you start to go, I have a feeling for this team or this franchise or what they're going to do this year or for the players and what they're doing. Yeah, well, I say that if any of the bloody players stayed on the field.
yeah, it is.
It's insane,
it is
right?
This was mentioned, wasn't it? I think I was the one who mentioned it, and I came out and said, compared to last year, this is mental, isn't it? Like what's happening with these players and how injured they are getting compared to what happened last year. And when I think about it, and obviously, most of us play fantasy football and all that, so we kind of look at it from that point of view. But if you look at it from like the running backs last year, it felt like they all carried on going and there wasn't any injuries at all. And I know that it's not been predominantly running backs this year, but there's been some big injuries this year from players who are like just it's weird. It's just, but this happens, doesn't it? Some years this is what happens.
Well, luckily it's not been like if it was all obviously we've had quarterbacks, but like it's not all been quarterbacks, but then it has been like key position players as well, like big names. Like what's the list now at? What, Malik Neighbors now? Noni Madueke, the D tackle at the Baltimore Ravens.
Who? Noni Madueke? What, you mean the winger?
Oh, Noni Madueke, the winger for Arsenal. What am I talking about? Madueke. Yeah. Madueke, that's who I'm talking about, not Noni Madueke, who's definitely
he is injured as well.
He is injured as well, funnily enough. Yeah. That's because he's on the injury list. He's probably I'm mixing up my fantasies. Probably it's FPL. I'm thinking about not regular fantasy football, but like Joe Burrow, Eckler. I mean the little Tyreek Hill. That's the massive one today. Yeah. How cool were them Dolphins uniforms, by the way? I know you're not like asked about that sort of stuff, but like
they look nice. I stayed up and watched a little bit of the Jets Dolphins game, and I thought they looked all right. It was funny. I did think that maybe some people might get a bit funny about them and stuff like that, but it does seem to be relatively positive from pretty much everyone. So, but
it's just like having the color rush stuff, isn't it? It's just another take on the color rush stuff. On the side note of that, when we obviously we've just been to NFL Dublin. Whoever doesn't know that, it was all over our social media. Had a wonderful time. That is going to be our key topic of chatter this evening at some point. We were in the stadium and they were flashing around the crowd. They were showing the Steelers bumblebee. There was people in the crowd who were wearing it, and because I went with Andrew, and Andrew said to me, I really, really like that bumblebee outfit. So many people hate on it, and I was like, I don't get why people. I love that uniform. You know which one I mean, don't you?
Yeah,
the bumblebee.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's jerseys and uniforms and all that. I'm not. Look. This is the Green Bay sort of stuff that I wear. It's like normal top with Green Bay written on it. So it's like, I'm probably the worst person to talk about this sort of stuff with. But I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I don't see what the issue is. Do a lot of people
gets hate online a lot?
But
gets hated like, oh, remember these ones that look rubbish or whatever. Like it's on social media and stuff like that. I was just thinking it looks quite cool. I think it's very, when like people do the synopsis with them sort of old style football shirts. And you have like the old ones, you're like, oh yeah, Liverpool, Fernando Torres in that like red one with the little Adidas emblem, or you have like the Doc Martens West Ham one, you say like Paul Di Canio, that sort of thing. Like when I think of that Bumblebee one, I just think of like Ben Roethlisberger at like his peak when it was like it was sort of like the 1990s, even though it was like they wore it in like the 2000s. It was like his shoulder pads were like really square on him. You know what I mean? That's sort of like, when like you watch American football films, like fake American football, fictional ones, and they wear like obscene ones, like the sort of ones in like what's the one with Denzel Washington in the really famous one? It was really good. Oh, have you lost it? I thought you'd have that straight away.
No, I'm awful with films.
It's got
Well, I'm awful with them.
I was about to say it's got Ryan Reynolds in, but it's the wrong Ryan. It's not Ryan Reynolds, it's the other one. Oh, that's so annoying.
You can hear a lot of typing going on now, so
there's a lot of people watching this or maybe listening to this like shouting and screaming this. Gosling. Ryan Gosling.
Gosling?
He's
in an NFL film?
Yeah. Isn't it? No, not Any Given Sunday. No, come on, you can find it. It's got to be on the internet somewhere because it's.
Well, yeah, I'll just if it hasn't got Ryan Gosling in it though, this is not going to tell me.
It has got Ryan Gosling in it. I promise you. I can even probably tell you the position he plays. He plays corner, I think.
The Slaughter Rule?
No. It's not whatever that is.
It's got Ryan Gosling in it, and he's dressed up as an NFL player.
Right, this is ridiculous.
Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans. How did we get the Slaughter Rule before Remember the Titans?
Well, the reason we got there is because you said Ryan Gosling. So...
Ryan Gosling is in it though. Check that. You can fact check that.
Is he really like?
He's young
in it.
Yeah.
Is he? Oh, he is in it. Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
I don't know.
What has this show descended into?
Have you never watched that?
I've watched lots of them, but it would have been years ago.
Yeah, it is good.
That's the problem. I never remember any of it. I remember the Longest Yard. That's more my kind of thing. Adam Sandler just chatting about. Yeah.
Michael Irvin and Terry Crews and Jerry Diaz and what other players? Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bill Goldberg.
There you go.
Nash.
There you go. Proper NFL.
Proper NFL film. Well, like I said, I was in Dublin. The debut of Dublin, NFL Dublin. Firstly, like a huge thank you to the city of Dublin, the country of Ireland, for putting on such a fantastic event and the things that we did over there. Like, it was really good fun. I got there on the Thursday. I got there Thursday daytime, and I had a little wander, and I went by the portal. You know what I mean by the portal.
Yeah.
So weirdly enough, I was on the other side of the portal just 2 weeks ago, as some people may know or have seen or heard when I've on social media or watching these. I was in Philadelphia, and the other portal, one of the other portals, is in Philadelphia. So when I got there, I saw it, and it was the square in Philadelphia, and it was like 4 a.m. there, so there was no one there. But it was like really cool to see. So I gave our friend at the Irish NFL show, Shane Brennan, a text and said, "Oh, I'm just going by the portal." And he said, "Oh, well, I work over the road. I'll come down and get a coffee with you." We sat in Starbucks and just chatted for a little bit, and then other coffee shops are available, or if Starbucks ever wants to sponsor us, I suppose. We wandered around there. I just wandered around a bit. I went to the Steelers shop, went to the NFL shop, went and wandered around the park, which was quite nice. The Steelers shop, I have to say, was a little bit of it was a bit disappointing for me.
Right, okay.
Well, it was just like sort of a pop-up, really, and it wasn't. I mean, things are so expensive now, man. Like you were saying about, like, I know you're saying you don't bother about jerseys, but like they're just so expensive. All these things, and obviously everything's that. There's a lot of people. There was a fair amount of people in there. All Americans. All the Americans were there Thursday to like Monday, Tuesday, or maybe going elsewhere in Ireland after that. And then all the Europeans landed Saturday. So that's when the city really like took off. Like all the English and maybe other Irish people commuted, or and the Germans and the French and Spanish and all other nationalities all arrived on the Saturday. So that's when it felt like it was sort of the busiest. But yeah, the NFL shop was a bit more to do, I suppose. And then I had a little pop round, and then on the Friday we went to the Steelers practice. Went to their press conference, which was very surreal for me, being a Steelers fan that I am. Yeah, I don't know. You saw some of the clips I put on socials? Did you think my questions were all right?
Yeah, I thought your questions were all right when you want me to critique your question.
Yeah, that's that. We're going to
And
deep
getting
dive
of
into
all
the
the
questions I
people to
asked.
ask.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I thought it was. I mean, how did it sort of go with? Because to me, I feel there's been a change in
Mhm.
public opinion of a certain quarterback,
Oh,
and
Aaron.
yeah, genuinely, I do. And I felt like when he was with us at Green Bay, towards the end, it was very sort of like it got quite niggly and a bit nasty, I think, between him and the organisation. And I feel like it was a popular thing to hate on Rodgers and to really have a go. And then obviously, he's had his couple of years at the Jets and that didn't really work out. And now he's with the Steelers. And I noticed just on social media or a couple of different sort of WhatsApp groups that I think we're both part of that are like, got quite a lot of different NFL fans in the UK in it and stuff like that. And there was a reaction of almost like, this feels really weird. I feel like I want Rodgers to win. And that sort of, I saw some of the content that we put out and the questions that you put out and uh, and stuff like that. And he came across really well, and that he was really interested and that he was
Mhm.
engaged with everything and everyone that was there. And I noticed another thing that, you know, as always, what always happens when the first time this event happens in a country or whatever, they always ask people about coming back and
Yeah,
obviously like given his
and
age
being
he
there for the
probably won't.
first time and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
what do you
yeah,
want to do,
exactly.
and yeah, all that sort of thing. Yeah.
So you get all that, and he came out and said, like 100%, they should come back here. The whole
Mhm.
experience was fantastic. Shout out to everyone that made it happen and all that sort
Well,
of thing.
he even critiqued the calendar that they went by. That he really wished they'd come on Monday and got a little
Right?
bit more of the free time, and was very much like, I do get it. Like, I get the scheduling. It's the team's decision. I'll go the team's decision. But if it was that was in the post press, that was post game.
Yeah,
He said, if it was up to me, I'd got it Monday. Maybe giving us 1 or 2 days to maybe explore it, like, because he was incredibly. I think one of the things you were saying about the popularity contest, I suppose, with him now is he was being incredibly respectful of Ireland and being very knowledgeable about it. I know people could just say buzzword Guinness, but
yeah,
he, you know what I mean. But he clearly was wanting to be there. Do you think an element of it is the Pat McAfee thing happened at college and the fact he's in with them and how much they had a good time and how much people love him and that lot over there? Do you think there is an element of that? That they all know their
yeah.
pals, that sort of thing?
Probably, yeah. I mean, that
Mm,
kind of makes sense. Although I do feel like Rogers is just a different kind of person, isn't he, compared to most NFL players? So I think he will always. I think even if you disagree with the things that he comes out with, it kind of feels like he's taken time out of his life to learn about them. Now, whether you feel that he's learned the right things or the wrong
yeah.
things are different, but it
He's
does. He comes across
he is
like that.
educated. He is
Yeah,
educated. Like, you can tell he said it. He said pre and post as well that he's a historian. He's into that sort of thing. So
yeah,
you believe that about him. I mean, definitely, and it was great seeing that. Tomlin was very much Tomlin. I would
yeah.
say I would say the only other person who I thought was more worse at the podium was Dayball. Dayball was terrible when
Okay.
we saw him in Germany, and I was told by certain New York media that, oh, he was going to be terrible because he's always terrible.
Yeah,
And obviously, they were doing pretty terribly at that point as well in Germany. It'd been last season, yeah, because it was at the Bayern Munich training ground. TJ Watt was good fun. I had it drafted and I didn't post it, and I'm like miffed at myself for it. My like big question to him was, I said to him, um, given the current popularity in brothers doing podcasts and within the media, and one tends to play, and he immediately went, no, 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 and just started laughing. And I was like, did you not think it'd be fun for JJ and Derek to come over and you'd see him on social media around Dublin, drinking Guinness, having fun? He was like, no, like JJ's got his stuff with CBS. Derek's a family man. Like, it's fun. Like, they brought us a few years ago for when JJ played, I assume that would be in London, or they would have gone over. Maybe they were doing something at some point with him. But he said they had a really great fun and a great laugh. But yeah, he was very much like, nope, it's this is about football, this trip, and we can come over some other time to have fun, which was fun. You know what they kept saying the buzzword was business trip. That was like their thing. Was like, this is a business trip. Like, that's Tomlin said that a few times. You know, we're here to do business as a business trip, and not in a way that it was doing some sort of movie tagline thing, but it was very, you could tell that. I suppose with these games, in the international games, and maybe London gets a little bit marked with this as well, with Americans maybe, is people just say, well, it's just a bit of a novelty. And you're like, well, no, because if the Steelers didn't win this game, like I said it in the stadium, this is a clutch game. This is a bit of a make or break game for our season. Like, we had to go in and win that. We had to. And I think the Vikings could have afforded to lose. I mean, we won 24-21 in the end. We were pretty dominant. The score line, it looks like Minnesota are in it. They came back in the fourth quarter quite well, but we dominated the game for vast majority of that game. And
it also feels very much like that the Steelers have got a bit of an opportunity now as well. With what's happened, and we'll talk about that later on. But like, it does feel like they have an opportunity, and I think I think given the way that the NFL has moved towards international games and the sort of like the expansion of it and how it's getting more and more, like every year there's more, they have to take it as though it's a business trip. It's serious. They have to take it as though at the end of the day, this is a regular game. So it's just as important as the game that's over in, in Pittsburgh, or if they were away and playing again in Minnesota. So
yeah, you're right. You're right, because you go back to America now 3-1, not 2-2, and that's on the flip side. We said it last week when we were talking. The Vikings are now what? Let me just quickly. They're now 2-2. They go back to America 2-3. Whew. Yeah, that's a worry. That's panic stations, I think, a little bit for Minnesota, to be honest with you. So yeah, the press conference.
It is with Detroit, isn't it? Definitely. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. So we did the press conference. Something very, very fantastic happened after the press conference and went into the evening, which is a story I won't share. That is very much a story between me and 3 other people. Big up them guys. I'm not going to share that story. Maybe I'll tell you, if people see me ever around, I will tell that story, because it's not bad, but there's no need to share it. It's so grand. Well, to a lot of people, whoever can find it on the internet, I suppose. Well, that night we went to the Pro Football Ireland show, which was really good. That was good fun. Lots of great guests there, Mike McQuaid I believe it's Mark Hogan. I know he's got a twin brother. I think his twin brother was Chris, I believe. I always get it wrong way around. I'm really sorry if I have offended you, either of you. But it was a really good show. Had some great guests: Greg Rosenthal, Neil Reynolds, Colleen Wolfe, a couple of ex-players as well. FA Barda was there. Actually, weirdly, I'm now like pretty pally with FA, because some Irish guy was taking the mickey out of me, and he was really drunk. And then FA sort of laughed along with. He was taking the mick out of my mustache, and FA thought it was really funny, but it was taking the mick out of my mustache. So then I started.
I mean, we all do. So
Yeah, well, I never thought I would berate FA Barda in front of him to his face. But I did it and he laughed. So,
that's all right then.
Well, no, I saw him at the game. I actually bumped into him at the game in the stands late in the game as well, like halftime, and he gave me the biggest hug. And like, I've met FA a few times, not like properly, but I've seen him a few times. Like, Jesus Christ, is he massive? Like, he is so big. Like, he picked me up and like pulled me like this up. And if anyone's seen me in person, I ain't that big a guy. I'm like 6 foot and like, barely 12 stone. I'm tiny. And I felt more of a smaller man after that. But it was all in good fun, to be fair. We actually had a really cool halftime. Like, we actually chatted at halftime for like a fair bit about the game. And he was like, who do you actually support? I was our Steelers. And I was telling him about what I thought was going wrong. He was like, no, you're right. Like, I kept going, it's in the middle of the park. Every time they get slanters in that middle, our safeties and corners, they don't know whether to push the linebackers. There's just this big gap that happened all season. And he agreed. So I must know something about playing football.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was really cool to see. And then the night after that, we went to we met with a lot of friends, which was really fun. Went for a bit of a pub tour, which was good. And we went to the Irish NFL show that they did in a pub, the Arlington Hotel, which was really good. And they had ex-Super Bowl winner Steelers legend Bryant McFadden. Really fun night as well. Our friend Shane Brennan presented it. He did wonderful job, absolutely wonderful. Love Shane, great guy, and congratulations to both PFI and the Irish NFL show for putting on two incredible events and really, really growing what was already a highly anticipated game was grown even more by both of them outlets and other Irish outlets as well, of course. But they did so fantastic with that. And then the game itself, I admit, we may have gone a little bit too heavy on the Saturday night. So we didn't do as much on the Saturday as we were meant to, which is a shame. But I still thoroughly enjoyed my night Saturday night. Me and Andrew came in at Saturday evening, so it was great with him. And of course, big shout out Andy Davis, who was with us the whole time across the podcast. Really great show. Go check him out as well. Brilliant bloke, really brilliant bloke. I actually couldn't get a program or the little sheets of paper they give you, and he actually donated his to me, which is really nice of him. So now I have that as a souvenir, which is really cool. And then, of course, first time I ever see my team play, and I got to see him win.
Yeah, and they sort of thoroughly deserved it, I would say. Like you said,
more
they
than thoroughly.
Yeah, it felt like that. Carson Wentz just couldn't get anything going, and that was predominantly because of the Steelers' defense just being so strong.
Best game we've had so far this year.
Yeah,
game,
definitely. Far. They look really good. Obviously, there was the surprise of Jaylen Warren not playing, but Kenneth Gainwell looked great and did really well.
99 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, for what was it? It was 2 hours before.
Yeah. So he did really well. He came in, looked really good, and I think just the fact of where the game was at the time, I think the DK Metcalf, just the touchdown, just that it was such a big play, kind of just knocked the stuffing out of the Vikings a little bit, and they never really, like, it's weird because obviously there was quite a lot of time left in the second quarter, and you've got half time to recover, and they came out and nothing really happened again, and it wasn't until the last quarter where it kind of felt like the Steelers were sort of managing the game a bit, and that was kind of when the Vikings came back a little bit, but the scoreline reflects well on the Vikings. If that had finished like 24-14 or 24-10, I don't think anyone could really have complained that much. But yeah, the Steelers looked very good, and as I say, I think they've got a chance of winning this division now.
We go back a little bit banged up, admittedly, but bye week. In fact, I did ask TJ after the game that I said, the bye week coming now, would it have been as nice to keep that momentum? I know the bye week is actually so important to these players, like it's so massively important. But I said to him, about momentum. He said, well, no, it is important to us, to have that bye, to get that rest, and we're going to need it because we're a little bit nicked up here, and we need to get them guys back. Jalen Ramsey came off. Obviously, Jaylen Warren, like we said, we had a few players going in and out throughout the game. Get Joey Porter back hopefully very soon. We need to get them guys back and back fit. And yeah, I mean, like DK Metcalf's what did he get? 100 126. You know, that's the first time a receiver's gone for 100 yards since George Pickens. I think it was in 2023 or 2022.
What for the
Yeah.
Steelers? So
Yeah.
I mean,
First time we've had a receiver of over 100 yards. So it was
yeah,
bloody
that's not a
needed.
surprise though, to
Not
be honest. I mean,
hugely,
given
but
the quarterback play, it's
yeah.
not an insane surprise. Just quickly before we move on, one thing I do have to ask you. I sort of mentioned this to Andrew, but I'll ask you. He said to me the atmosphere was great. Dublin, the city, the way the city is set up, is great, and this is all. It's like this is it. This is sort of like this is where you want to go for the sort of NFL experience over here in Europe. And I was a little bit like, because obviously like the London Games has kind of got a lot of criticism over the last few years about the lack of sort of tailgating and the fact that, you know, obviously, I mean, the prices in Ireland were pretty much the same as the prices here, but the price increase and all that. And it's kind of got criticism of having sort of like poor teams coming over as well. But is it that it is great, that it is the place and that it is where you want to be going? Is it that much better than London? I mean, or is it just purely that this was game one for the NFL, and so the NFL have sort of like thrown everything at it, pulled out all the stops, got two decent teams, because that's a big thing, isn't it? In London, it's like you get one good team and one team that's pretty poor, and you know, you saw that, didn't you, in Germany when they first went to Germany? At the time, the Dolphins were really good and the Chiefs were really good, and then it was almost like they got punished. But for the next one where they had the Colts.
That game was meant to be in Mexico. That's what people always need to remember.
Yeah, I
that was
understand
meant to be in Mexico.
I mean,
so
like,
that was happenstance at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. But it does kind of feel a little bit like for that the first one is always two decent teams. I mean, look at Madrid this year. You know, it's the Commanders, and I know the Dolphins have sort of tailed off now, but like, you know, I think the sort of, I don't know, it always feels a little bit like London now gets a semi-decent, decent. So like when you look at this year, you get the Rams doing really well. The Jags have been pretty poor. You get the Broncos playoff team going against the Jets, really poor. And then you get the Vikings playoff team going against the Browns, really poor. And so, yeah, it's just that thing where it's like, is it just because it's the first one? Have they thrown everything at it and pulled out all the stops, or is it actually the place and the atmosphere and the sort of like the place to go to?
I would definitely say that the NFL didn't put loads on. You know, I've just talked about them events there. That was done by the guys behind these podcasts and media outlets. It wasn't the NFL who did that. Yeah, we sort of spoke about it afterwards. Would the franchise tag do something like that for them guys did as an event? I'd think about it. I'd be very nervous about it because I get that way about that sort of thing. But more outlets maybe here should be doing that and taking the initiative to do stuff like that. Dublin is also a significantly smaller city than London. It's a lot more concentrated, in where you put things. Now, I could argue you could do that in London and pick an area and make that more concentrated about it. But you've got to pick the right area, admittedly. You've got that thing as well. Ireland at the minute is incredibly popular in pop culture. Incredibly popular. In the media, the actors, the singers. You know, we joke around at the minute that every American seems to have some sort of Irish ancestry. Well, that also attracts a lot of tourists. You know, I definitely thought this was going to be a Steelers homer. I thought it might be more like people would go like, wow, you are just as loud as Heinz Field. That wasn't the case on the day. It became very 50 split at the end, but they started doing a skull chant towards the end in that fourth quarter. And it was like, wow, this is getting loud in here. So it was a really good split. It was actually a really good split. And the one thing all the players kept saying, and I don't agree with it because I've been in the stadiums, I've been in stands, But and I also think it's a bit of hearsay. They haven't been here since 2013. The game has developed so much more. I'm talking about the Steelers here. There were a little comment prior and little jab was, having fans that know when to cheer, And then at post game, it seemed that they were very pro all the fans and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if that was a dig at London to Ireland or a UK, Ireland dig or whatever they wanted to mess out with that. But the case this time was, it was true. We were cheering everyone was cheering at the right times. And I think they do in London. I think it's a bigger stadium. There's 74,000 people at Croke Park. It's a big stadium, but it's not as big as Tottenham or Wembley, is it? I'm sure. Well, I'm saying that. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but
I think it's bigger than Tottenham.
Yeah. Well,
not Wembley though.
I think that there's a lot of people who are nervous that that'll be one and done, or maybe every other year. I don't know, but I think the city's just got everything that it needs to do to be able to accommodate something like that, with the amount of accommodation, the amount, the accessibility of the city around, the obvious drinking culture and nightlife, which is just one of the world's best. It is one of the world's best. I don't care what people say. Dublin, very expensive. If you never go to Dublin, if you never go to Dublin, I would see it as a shame not to just experience what it's like as a vibrant, fun city. So I'm not saying it's better than London. I think it's better than London currently, because I think it's got more going on in terms of just people being closer together and you meeting more people. And for how small it is, there was no queues anywhere at the pubs. You were getting served fast. Yes, there was busy in the pubs, but you go to the fan pubs now here, you're queuing down the street. You got to choose the time to go. There's not multiple fan pubs. There's not multiple. That's the problem, is that we just have one destination in London these fans can congregate at, and we don't diversify it up and move it around, or have enough that are linked together. And that's what probably needs to improve over here, is sort of having a bit of a fan village here, which we could do. Make the fan village Trafalgar Square for the weekend.
Yeah.
Have a stage.
Because there is very little, isn't there, when it comes to Tottenham and around the stadium. There's
hugely little.
very little.
But they are handcuffed with the area they've got.
Yeah,
and that's no exposure to Tottenham. But there is no that everything is housing there. It's where people live. It's where people live.
Mm.
It was the same for Croke Park. People were very surprised about that being in the middle of pretty much normal people's houses. But that is just what it is, and they do need to work on that. They need to work on something where they have more fans congregate closer together in a more inaccessible location, I suppose. We'll move on to our next topic in a moment, right after our message from today's sponsor. Have you ever dreamed of managing your favorite pro football team? Do you watch your team and think the GM got it wrong again? Do you think you could do better? Here's your chance to prove it. Introducing Ultra GM, a revolutionary new take on fantasy football that makes you the general manager of your favorite team. Start with the team's full roster and build it through the draft, free agency, trades, and even the practice squad to create your ideal team. No fantasy football platform or GM simulator has ever provided the degree of realism and engagement that Ultra GM offers. And none has ever given you the opportunity to manage the team that you love and care for most. Compete against family, friends, and even your team's real GM to see who is the Ultra GM. You think you can do better than your team's GM? Visit ultragm.com to prove it. Now, I did watch Red Zone on the Sunday. I didn't watch the full games, but I have watched the highlights as well. And I know Lamar Jackson got injured within the game and Cooper Rush had to come in. And as soon as that happens, you go, the team is going to lose. The Kansas City Chiefs, though, have not been dominant this year by no stretch of the imagination. And in many opinions, including my own, have looked quite poor and not the same Chiefs. And we've also been very critical of them on here. We did a section the other week of, is the dynasty over? But as soon as Lamar goes up, it's going to be an uphill battle. Like, it just always is going to be, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. But this wasn't like Lamar's got injured and they've lost. No. This was much worse than that.
You say much worse.
It was.
I just think it's all things we've said before about the Ravens. I mean, we said it last year and the year before. They're great everywhere. Amazing everywhere. Now they have got injuries. They've got major injuries. I know that. They've got significant injuries all over the place. Noni Madueke, I mean, he can't even start left wing for them at the minute. For anyone who doesn't get that joke, you should probably watch the start of this show. And if this is the section you're watching, make sure you catch the whole show. But Madueke being out and some other players. But we've said that the back end of the defense has not been good. And they draft them and they develop them, and they've got some good names on paper. But they're currently the worst defense in football. They're currently the worst. They're 31st in passing yards, 1,062. Joint 30th in passing touchdowns, 9. 30th in first downs. And then they're not getting pressure either. They're joint 31st in sacks with 4. Like, they went out and who was the kid they got out of Georgia this year? The Wonders safety, Starks.
Malachi Starks. Yeah.
Malachi Starks got him this year.
Yeah.
Not done much so far. Carl Hamilton's a beast when he wants to. Occasionally, it feels like Marlon Humphrey. I feel like we talk about him like a top corner. He's not a top corner anymore. He's not. He just can't be. Like they invest draft capital in this back end, and it's to beat. That's what's even funnier. It's to beat the Chiefs because Lamar is 1-6 against the Chiefs, including the playoffs. He can't beat the Chiefs. And it's just not developing.
No, you're right. I'm going to throw out a shameless plug because that's what I do. Okay. I wrote an article yesterday for free bets. They actually sponsor our betting, Jay. Go and check them out. But I'll tell you what it was, because I do a weekly news one after the NFL games on the weekend. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I kind of went with the Ravens, because I kind of felt like that was a big game, wasn't it? Between the two of them, whoever lost goes 1-3. You know, that's really, really tough on whoever loses that game. So I sort of looked into it, and I kind of went with things are only going to get worse for the Ravens. And they are. You know, they are only going to get worse for them, because this isn't just about Lamar Jackson picking up an injury. And I think it was today that they came out and said that he's going to miss Sunday, isn't he?
I think 2 to 3 weeks. They're saying 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks is what they're saying.
Nothing concrete has come out yet. They've not even really set it up properly yet, I don't think.
But they've got 2 more games, and then they've got their bye. And they reckon it could be 2 to 3 weeks. So it kind of feels like he's going to miss the next 2 games.
Them games being the Texans, they are hosting the Texans and the Rams.
Yeah. And okay, I would say that the Texans are not. I know they won and they scored quite a few points against the Titans, but they played the Titans, so you know. But they are 2 very good defenses that they're going to be going up against, and Cooper Rush is not going to do much for you, I don't think. So there's a limit to what you can get. So you're going to need your defense to be very, very strong. And this defense, as you were saying, just isn't strong at all. It's the worst in the league. It's given up the most points so far in the league over the 4 games. Marlon Humphrey's gone out injured and is going to miss a couple of weeks. Nate Wiggins left the game against the Chiefs injured. As you said, Noni Madueke's out for quite some time. I think he's out for the season, isn't he?
I actually don't even know his first name. What's his? It's Madueke, right? But it's not Noni.
No, it's not Noni. It's Namadi Madueke. Yeah. We probably should actually use his proper name, bless him. And Roquan Smith.
Mads.
Yeah. Roquan Smith, of course, has gone out, and he's going to be missing for a couple of weeks. So this is significant problems over the next couple of weeks. Going up against 2 decent defenses, your defense has been obliterated with injuries, and your star quarterback is probably going to miss them 2 games as well, by the sound of it, with this hamstring injury. Derrick Henry can't run. The other thing with Lamar, I don't
remember seeing him on the red zone. I
No,
just looked
right.
to see how many yards he got. He got 42 yards on 8 carries.
So
Where was he?
Lamar is the second most sacked quarterback behind Cam Ward. And
That's his
so
game, though. You can't have it. You can't pull that.
it is
That
his
is his
game, but
game.
the fact that that is happening and the run game has kind of fallen apart in Derrick Henry, it does kind of feel a little bit like the O-line is not doing particularly well as well. And so there's a lot of problems here, is essentially what we're getting to. And it's hard to see where they're going to be able to do anything, because with all these guys out, there's a very good chance they're going to be 1-5 as they go into the bye. You know, there is a good chance that could happen.
Yeah.
The Texans are not great. Like, offensively, they're not great.
They
But
could beat the Texans. I think they could beat the Texans.
yeah, but this defense can't stop anything.
Yeah, but Stroud's not playing well.
No, I agree. Stroud isn't playing well. The one thing I would say, their run game is doing well. Nick Chubb and Woody Marks are doing well for the Texans. And yes, Stroud isn't playing well. But the other thing you've got to remember, their defense is very good. I don't think it's going to take a lot. So I think that this is a game that the Texans could quite easily win this game. And then you're going against the Rams, who I know they fell apart against the Eagles, but you would think a fit Rams team would be able to take apart this Ravens defense and do well against them.
The only thing, because I feel like you're going down the path of this could be them being out of the playoffs very quickly, is where I feel like you're going with this. Is that?
Well, it's not so much that it's not a case that I feel that they would be out the playoffs quickly, but I do feel that there's a strong chance that they could end up being 1-5 going into their bye week. And I do feel that if you can get these guys back, especially Lamar, if you think about it, you go through that 3-week period and then you come back the other side and he's fully fit, then all of a sudden it changes. And these games are much more likely for them to win because you got your star quarterback back. So that makes sense.
And the caliber of team they're playing, they've
had a real tough schedule.
They're hosting the Bears, they're at the Dolphins, they're at the Vikings, they're at the Browns, they're hosting the Jets, they're hosting the Bengals. I mean, they got back fully fit after the bye week. This is such a bold thing to say, but I'm going to say it. They got fully fit and were fully throttle Ravens and found it and got their shit together. They could go unbeaten the rest of the year after the bye.
Yes. Yeah. And that's kind of where I sort of look at it, and they'll probably slip up at some point during that period. Yeah. They probably won't go unbeaten for that long. They probably will slip up. But the point is that I was sort of like going along with is that they have a very good chance of being 1-5 going into the bye. And that this is a massive opportunity, which I said when we were talking about the Dublin game, for the Steelers here. Because, as you say, they're now, it's 3-1 for the Steelers. And
yeah, we're 3-1, then 2-2 for the Bengals, and then
who can't do anything on offense.
Yeah, who are then 1-3 for the Ravens and Browns.
Yeah. And this is my point. So they've got a 2-game swing already. It feels like this is their chance that if the Steelers if they're just steady and they just do the sort of thing that they did against the Vikings and just sort of like go through games, I think that the sort of the bold take that isn't really a bold take anymore when you actually look at this is that the Steelers will probably be hosting a playoff game.
Maybe against the Ravens.
Seeding
and stuff like that. Seeding and stuff like that. It'd be like that, wouldn't it? Really,
potentially, yeah.
I've not seen it in the media yet, but I think it's going to definitely be Lamar. I know he went out injured, but like you said, I don't think the injury is the fact that they lost. Choking in a big game again, not doing well in the big game, not winning the big one, losing to the Chiefs again. Like,
Yeah,
that's got to do
he.
something to you, hasn't it? Like, that has to. I know he's been in the league a while now, and I'm like such a huge fan. I've gone on about it so many times about being the biggest fan and how much he progresses and how he's proved everybody wrong with what people just labeled him in the first place. But the proof's in the pudding now. He's never done well in the playoffs. What, he's got one playoff win now?
Yeah,
Or is it two? One.
one, I think.
One playoff win. And he didn't get that for ages. Fails to beat big teams quite consistently. Has arguably had a defense that has helped. Has had
Yeah,
players around him. I don't care what anyone says. As much as he doesn't feel like a number one, Zay Flowers has proven he's a darn good wide receiver. You've got one of the best tight ends in the league in Mark Andrews. You've got probably the top three running back in Derrick Henry. You've got a pretty decent O line. Like, what more? What more does Lamar need to do to sort of push it over the line? Because I just think is it the thing where he just goes back to running. Like, it just sort of like everything. But then he's been controlled with his throws. So is
I
it just a
don't. I think.
mentality thing? I don't know.
I think so far. I know what you mean from when it comes to a big game. I think so far this season, it's difficult to blame Lamar for anything really, considering what's happened. They've had it's been a brutal first four games. It really has been. Apart from the Browns, who you can come out and say have got a decent defense. That you've played the Lions, you've played the Chiefs, and you played the Bills. I mean that's a really tough first 4 weeks against some really good teams. And I know that they've lost them all, but I mean he put 40 points up away at the Bills. You can't blame Lamar for something like that. And that was a big game. That was wasn't that a Sunday night football game? I think like a standalone game in week one. So
Yeah,
that was a
that was the
really
late night game on Sunday. Yeah.
yeah, so everyone's watching and all that sort of thing, and so
Yeah,
it's not.
but then it was a Monday night game against Detroit. Everyone was watching that as well.
Yeah, but he
Like,
put up 30 points again. This is what I mean, and this is when Derek Henry had 2 fumbles in that game, and it's like I think it's difficult to put it on Lamar. I understand what you're saying, and I think a lot of people do come out and say that, and when it comes to playoff football. I think there's definitely a point there, isn't there? Because there's been a history where every time they get to this point where they go up against the Chiefs or the Bills, it does become a bit of a struggle and it is a problem. I just think this defense is so bad that this is what's causing the problem at the moment. The defense is
it's
just
so
so bad.
not. It's just so not what you think about when you think of the Ravens' culture and history,
No,
is it?
absolutely,
Like, it's
absolutely. It's
so
been it's
totally
built
polar
on
opposite.
such a
You know,
strong defense, and yet
like I've seen it in the media recently where everyone's going like Roy Keane should be getting into that Man U dressing room and tearing everyone a new one and telling them what it means to play for the Man United. You almost like you're like, can you get Ray Lewis and Ed Reed to
yeah.
come into this locker room and grab everyone and be like, you play for the effing Ravens. You're meant to be the most feared defense. We didn't
But
work
it
our
is weird
butts off,
because
commit our bodies on the line for
yeah,
us to now be a laughing stock of a defense.
what's weird though is that this did happen last year.
Yep.
This is the beginning of the season last year. Their defense was really bad, and this is Zach Orr as the defensive coordinator 2 years in a row now, and it's happened both years where there's been a sort of like just inability to do anything in the first few weeks. And actually last year it kind of almost went all the way up to like week 9, 10, something like that. It was the middle of the season when they finally kicked into gear. So yeah, it's really difficult. But I do think that I can see them being 1-5 and going into this bye week. And like you say, after the bye week, the schedule is not bad. It feels like they've got a decent schedule. They could probably win the majority of them
you're not
games.
bad. I've just said that they could go unbeaten. They've actually got
Yeah.
incredibly easy.
Well, yeah,
They've
but
got
I
incredibly
mean,
easy schedule, I think,
realistically, they're
personally.
probably not. They're not going to. But
No, they
I
don't probably,
get your
if
point,
they could.
yeah. So it's like I think they've got that ability to do that as long as Lamar's fit and they can sort of try and get this defense being capable of doing something. But yeah, it's difficult for them. And like I say, at the moment, I'm not 100% sure if they're going to be able to. I know you say they could go unbeaten, but I'm not 100% sure whether they're going to be able to sort of like turn it round so much that they suddenly become a force, because it's not just one area. That's the problem. It feels like every area there's a problem.
Well, you know where there's not a problem anymore? New York City, East Rutherford, New Jersey. We talked about this last week. We did a big segment on this last week, didn't we? About Jaxson Dart coming in for Russell Wilson. And memory serves me correctly, you were incredibly irate by it and not happy at all. And I'm sorry, but they proved you wrong. I mean, he was sublime. He was fantastic. I mean, I actually, you know who he reminded me of? Russell Wilson when he came into the league.
Yeah.
Like generally, and you know what? I actually pulled it up. I went and checked. I went and checked both their first games. I went and checked Russell Wilson's first game, right? So Russ threw a lot more. Like Russ's first game was 9th of the 9th, 2012, right? 9th of September, 2012. I'm looking at then 28th of September, 2025, obviously Jaxson Dart. Now, Russ threw considerably more. They lost this game 2016, by the way, Russell Wilson, and it was against the Arizona Cardinals, just to put a point on there. He was 18 for 34, 52.9% completion, 153 yards, a touchdown interception, took 3 sacks. He rushed 8 times for 20 yards, no touchdowns. And then on the flip side, we have Jaxson Dart, who was considerably less throws, admittedly. 13 for 20, 111 yards, 65% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 5 sacks, which isn't great. And then 10 attempts rushing with 54 yards and a touchdown. Both fumbled as well, just to also put a point in there as well. I don't think you can ask for a better debut against a Chargers team that this defense is real for them.
Yeah, I thought he did well. I thought he played well. I didn't think he kind of did what I thought he would do. I thought he would do okay. I never had a problem with his talent. My concern is what you came out and said halfway through that is 5 sacks. And
you did also say last week that you think you were, what your concern was that he would get hit and couldn't cope. And I know he came out for a couple of drives for a couple of snaps. Russell Wilson came in for a minute while he just had once over, but he came right back in and didn't look phased. He did not look phased, I didn't think.
No, and that's great, and that's what you want to see. It's great that he was able to do that. I just look. This is my viewpoint on it has always been the same, and it won't really change. I came out and said that I felt that he would do better than what Russell Wilson was doing, which he did, and I felt that he would get sacked quite a bit, which he did. And that's my concern for him. And it isn't so much just one game sort of thing. It's like this team they kind of did throw him to the wolves a little bit, and it was kind of sink or swim. And obviously he's done well, and he has managed to swim, and he has managed to do well. But there is a limit to what obviously he did. He had 13 completions. He got 111 yards. I know he rushed for a touchdown, and obviously he's going to be a dual threat quarterback. We all knew that about him, but
he also lost his wide receiver.
Yes, of course.
and
I
not
mean,
any wide
losing Malik
receiver.
Neighbour, yeah, and now
You
for the
know,
rest of
top
this
10, top
season,
5 wide receiver who's lost for the
yeah,
rest of the
yeah,
year now.
that's a
Does that
huge
give him?
loss.
Does that give him a pass now for this year, no matter what
I
happens?
think I mean, he had it anyway.
I'd see. I don't necessarily
For
think
this
he
season,
has
I
it.
think
I
he did.
don't. I don't know. I don't think he had a pass. I think you still get to the end of the season and you go, all right, he was a rookie and stuff like that, but you still, you measure him against other rookies that have come in. But I think now with Malik out, you're going to go, well, he's had time to throw to all year. Like, of course he couldn't throw it as much. Of course he's had to run more or get sacked a bit more because he's had only Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson, and he hasn't had his number one. And like I said, not just any number one, what some would consider a top 5 wide receiver.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just think that it's a rookie quarterback in his first year. I just think that they all get a pass in the first year. I think that's how it works. It's like, you can come out and blame anything on anyone on any part of it. It's like, Cam.
It absolutely can't be the case. It cannot be. After what people are saying about Caleb Williams this year, it can't be. It's not a pass for every quarterback. That's not
It
true.
shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But I
Mm.
think it is for all of them. I mean, I think Cam Ward has a pass this year. And Cam Ward hasn't been great. You look at him, he's played 4 games, 51.2% pass completion percentage. He's only thrown for 2 touchdowns in 4 games. He hasn't been great, but he gets a pass because the rest of the team are rubbish. That's kind of that is the that's how it
So you're
comes
saying
out.
that Caleb's pass last year was that he hadn't got
The
O-line
O line was rubbish.
and he had terrible coaching.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. You had there's reasons for everything. I think that you do. I think no matter what happens, if you're a rookie quarterback in your first year, it doesn't matter what happens, you get a pass. Because I think the other thing is, even if chances are most of these teams are not great, that's why they've got a rookie quarterback. but also, if you think about it, it's just that thing where it's like, well, we're developing him. He needs time. We can't do it all in one season. So it's like there's lots of reasons. So I think for that sort of for the rookie quarterback, I think you always get the first year no matter what. Yes, I think Jaxson Dart probably gets a bit more leeway now because of Malik Neighbours going down, unfortunately. But it's just what it is. And I still maintain it's just poor organizational management. It is what the issue is. It's that it's so stupid that you do this after 3 games. Was he not good enough before? If
No,
if that's your feeling, why have you got Jameis Winston there? There's so many questions here that you could come out with where it's a little bit like, why is Jameis Winston sitting there? You've got Russell Wilson. You don't think he's good enough. You've got a rookie who you don't think is good enough because you didn't start him at the beginning of the season. So then you've got Jameis Winston sitting there, still sitting there doing nothing.
But
And it's just like,
don't you think one of your worries was that the game style he plays in is very physical, it is very running, and you're worried that what if he gets hurt and injured and then it's just holding his progression even more? But I agree maybe that is always an element, but that's the case every time you get on the field. Let's just put that aside.
yeah,
Every time you get on the field, there's a case you can get injured. No matter we've
yeah,
said at the top of the show, it's bloody happening everywhere at the minute, and unfortunately,
yeah.
that is just the case of the game. What your worry, your caveat of that worry was that he would get hit so much that it would happen like you evidently saw Carson Wentz against the Steelers in Dublin.
Yeah,
He was getting hit so much where it clearly knocked him. He clearly
yeah,
didn't know what was going on and wasn't grasping the game. I think Jaxson Dart was getting hit in this game, getting sacked, got them 5 sacks, had we've not really overly mentioned, a Chargers defense that is very good
yeah.
to
Oh, yeah,
start the year, and we know it's real. He got hit, he got bowled down, he got back up. He was smart, he was clever, he was patient, he knew when to run, he knew when to slide, and he was physical and he was tough. Now, I worry about his size. He's not Josh Allen build. He's not
no,
thick. He's still broad, but he's not thick and burly at all. I do worry about that. Again, injuries, they happen all the time. That's just the name of the game. You play to win, and that may happen sometimes. But it was the getting hit and knocking his confidence. I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all.
no. I think probably the fact that he was at home probably helped with that. So the crowd could kind of keep him going and keep getting on his side. Because I think when you bring in the rookie and all that, then the crowd will get behind it. And that kind
you
of,
did say that last week. You said that
yeah,
this helps him being at home. It's going to be a feel good factor around the building.
yeah.
And
So I think,
he got the first touchdown. He ran it
yeah.
in. That must give you like, yeah, that must be an unreal feeling, to be fair.
Yeah, so I think all of that helped. I agree with you on the. I think, yeah, he's not Josh Allen. I mean, he's down as 6'2", 223. So he's kind of like, you got Jaden Daniels here and Josh Allen here, and he's kind of in the middle, sort of thing. So it's like he is, but he should be able to deal with that. And I think it's just it's a concern because the O line is clearly not great and not in a particularly great place. Because you can see that because he got sacked 5 times. It's not brilliant, and this is more about how he copes over a certain amount of time, I think. But it to me, it's just you're risking your first round pick and your future quarterback at a time when you're making decisions based on desperation. And I just don't think that's the right thing to do. I think I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you find the right guy, and the right guy doesn't have to be the number one pick. He can be later on in the first round, like Jaxson Dart was. But normally, when you're making decisions out of desperation, normally bad things happen, and that's the concern.
Well, he goes to play the Saints next week. So 2 and 3 Giants, they'll be thinking they can roll into go and host Philadelphia, maybe win that game, maybe. Adam, thank you for joining me for the show. Thank you all for watching or listening wherever you have found this podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you have found this pod, the Franchise Tag Talk Show Week 4. Make sure you follow us on social media and check out everything that is on there. Make sure you check out our college show that will be coming this week with Alex and Andrew, and also the betting show that will be on the weekend with Adam and Andrew as well. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll see you all again very soon.